俺は忍びだ。
Hey guys, I'm back. Back again. Shady's back. Tell a friend. Did anybody get that reference? Comment down below. Guys, I was away for more than 2 weeks. And the only explanation that I can offer to you at this moment is that life happens. As simple as that. And I'm back. Today I'm reviewing the 2 latest Boruto episodes. I think those are episode 81 and 82. I'm not really sure. Anyway, it's going to be in the title. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. Sorry for this horrible hiatus. I promise it won't happen again. And yeah, let's just go. Now, episode 81 is a very interesting one because I remember when this episode came out, I couldn't watch it on that Sunday, on that specific Sunday. But I kept scrolling, you know, through my Twitter feed, and I saw so many people being pissed about this episode. Now, whenever an episode of Boruto comes out, you always have some people complaining, but this time it was on a whole new level. It reminded me of the feedback that episode 49 received, and episode 49 is arguably the worst episode of Boruto. And you know, I was like, holy shit, this must be horrible because literally everybody's complaining about it. But for some reason, I had a feeling that I was gonna enjoy this episode. And I was right. I actually really enjoyed this episode. I saw it once, and I only, you know, rewatched a couple of scenes, you know, a couple of more times. Now, is this episode perfect? Absolutely not. It has its issues, and I'm gonna obviously discuss these issues in this video. I mean, in this review. In the first part of this video, because, you know, after I finish recording this review, I'm going to watch episode 82 and then I'm going to do my review. But anyway, fuck all of that. The episode was good, and I know that most of you might be pretty surprised by this statement, but let me explain. I view this episode as a chill episode that is supposed to hype up the future of this arc even more. The finale, like, quote unquote. I mean, we don't know how many episodes this arc is gonna have, but it feels like at this point, you know, they're chasing after Mitsuki. They even met Mitsuki. They saw what happened. Everything was fucked up, but at this point, the real shit starts. That's how I see it. And this episode was purposely slow. It was nothing in terms of action really happened here. There wasn't like a huge fight or anything, but I feel like it was done on purpose, you know. Now, the actual episode, the execution, I should say, of this idea should have been better, in my opinion, which is why this episode isn't perfect, because some scenes were dragged out. But if you look at the big picture, this episode really isn't as important as some of the other episodes in this arc, but it's like a little like mini adventure that happened right alongside Boruto's dream. And obviously, when I say adventure, I'm referring to the fact that Inojin became a dad basically in this episode. Really, if you're a fan of the Boruto series, like if you genuinely care about the series, you're probably gonna enjoy it. But a casual viewer of Boruto who doesn't really have too many emotional connections with these characters, or I should say somebody who doesn't have deep connections with these characters, he or she might not really enjoy it, because it's like, okay, let's see something developing in terms of plot, in terms of characters, let's see some action or something like that. But you know, I personally really enjoyed it, despite the fact that it wasn't perfect. But I can acknowledge, I should say, I understand why some people were pissed about this episode. And I feel like this episode could have been condensed into 10 minutes. And then the last 10 minutes, it will be something else. But then again, the writers wanted us to have that cool moment at the end where Boruto wakes up and he pretty much goes after Mitsuki again with everybody. And that's what I said earlier in this video. It hypes up the rest of the arc, right? But yeah, let's just get into the actual details of this episode. I mentioned this in one of my previous reviews. Chocho is getting more and more bearable. I'd even say likable at this point. I mean, obviously, in my opinion, you know, I do know for a fact that some people are hardcore Chocho fans, but I've had issues with her for like the majority of the Boruto series. I'm talking like 90% of the episodes. But I don't want to jinx it, but as time goes by, she's getting more and more interesting for me as a character. So that's that. Side note, Inojin's facial expressions, like the way it was animated, it was priceless in this episode, right? Anyway, the whole episode you know, like we have Boruto in this dream, which could have been much, much shorter because really the lesson that he learned, there wasn't anything major. I mean, after he wakes up and when he acknowledges that there's a chance that Mitsuki truly went there because of his own will, right? He pretty much says, okay, he says it to Sarada, even if he went the wrong path, I'm gonna kick his ass and bring him back. This really reminded me of Naruto and Sasuke. It's a, you know, just I got the chills while I was watching that. And by the way, to everybody who's saying that Boruto is not acting like himself in this arc, you're completely wrong. Boruto always used to care for his friends, and you know, you see people betraying Boruto throughout the Boruto series. The biggest two examples, Sumire and Kagura, right? At the end, they came back to the good side, but what I'm trying to tell you is that it is a fact that when friends betray Boruto, he tries to bring them back. So how is he not being himself in this arc? It's just that Mitsuki is much closer to Boruto than Kagura and Sumire. So obviously he's much more emotional in this arc, but you know, he's acting like himself. Like, imagine that one of your best friends goes down the wrong path. What I would try to do is I'd try to bring him back, even if it means kicking his ass. And I'm literally quoting Boruto right now, but it's true. I'm being 100% serious. And I don't know, they kind of, you know, that whole dream thing, I'm not even going to analyze the entire thing, not because I'm lazy to analyze every minute of the episode, but not a lot of it was too relevant and too, I don't know, important or whatever. I don't know how to describe it. There were some definitely in my opinion, funny gag scenes in this episode, and I like the comedy throughout the Boruto series for the most part, and it's really, you know, lighthearted, and you know, it's chill, you know, nothing like that will make you, you know, die out of laughter or anything, but you know, it's just these tiny moments, especially like this series so far. I mean, you know, the first 50 episodes, you had some dark stuff going on, but really the first major, like, dark thing that happened was, you know, everything that happened in the versus Momoshiki arc, you know, Naruto being kidnapped and stuff like that. And then, again, we're back to some quote-unquote lighthearted stuff, even though none of this is lighthearted, but I'm just trying to adapt to you guys, because that's how you guys like to call it. But what I'm trying to say is, you know, all of this is not eternal, right? At one point, I feel like the series is going to be a lot darker, you know. And another thing that I want to say about this episode, I feel like this episode is supposed to make a contrast between the rest of the arc, because this episode was so, you know, like, apart from the Boruto dream thing, you know, it was, again, lighthearted, funny, cute at points with, you know, the small Akuta or whatever. And by the way, even though it's like a new Akuta, I don't know, it's still dangerous. You saw when it tried to kill the rabbit. Anyway, I feel like this episode is supposed to contrast the rest of the arc, because everything was just so happy, and I feel like the rest, some dark stuff is gonna happen. And this also, like, if this isn't the case, if the next episode, which I haven't seen yet, if episode 82 is also like some, you know, quote-unquote kid-friendly episode like this one, then I'm not gonna be mad, but the rating for the next episode is gonna be even lower. So from the next like, I'm expecting something darker in the next episode. Not even darker, but something that's more rich in terms of plot. This episode 81, kind of begs for it, if you get what I mean. So yeah, I see that so far this video isn't too long. You guys know that pretty much, like, lately for the past couple of months, my reviews are between 20 and 25 minutes, I'd say, and I'm recording for like 8 minutes and 40 seconds, like this segment of the video, and I'm pretty much done with the review of this episode. This really shows that there's not much to say about this episode. Now, as for the rating, it's really tricky, because you know, you have people giving it like 4s, 5s, or whatever, why am I giving it 7.5? Let me explain. I already told you that I see this episode differently. You know, I don't see it as most people. I see it as a purposely chill episode, which after which the tone gets completely changed drastically. And even before this episode, so much shit was going on. There was this incredibly emotional episode with Mitsuki and Boruto meeting after some time and all that. So I feel like this episode, like the tone it's like a completely new tone, and it's just gonna go back. I feel like, I don't know if there's like a, you know, professional like name, you know, not professional, but I don't know if there's like a, you know, some technical term for this when it comes to, you know, writing, in terms of writing. But anyway, I feel like this is a cool writing thing that they did. And I, as I said, really enjoyed this episode, but it's 7.5. I took away 2.5 from this episode simply because it was a little bit dragged and the material could have been better. You know, yeah, that's basically all I have to say for this episode. And right now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna obviously stop this review. I'm gonna watch episode 82, I believe, and then I'm gonna come back and review it. So see you in a bit. Okay, so I just watched Boruto episode 82, and I'm very satisfied because of how great this episode truly was. Now, I said this during my Boruto episode 81 review, and basically, I just saw the episode, right? I didn't watch it when he came out and all that, but I did get spoiled. And I knew that Onoki was gonna be the quote-unquote bad guy. He's not really bad or evil. I think that's kind of obvious, but I'll get into that a bit later. Like, I wish I didn't know that, because it would have been so much cooler. The scene was epic anyway, but only if I never knew about that spoiler. But you know, it really shows that I'm childish. I knew that I was gonna get spoiled, but I still went to Twitter and I still scrolled. And I did get spoiled, and that was my punishment. Anyway, the episode was great. This episode was pure plot progression, and I said this in my Boruto episode 81 review, but really this episode had to have some plot progression because of the pacing in the previous episode of Boruto, which is episode 81, and thankfully everything was fine, everything was executed perfectly. At the start of this episode, we clearly see that Inojin stays behind because of the Akuta that has been following him. Everything is cool, everything is done quickly, unlike the past episode, unlike the previous episode, nothing is dragged out. And overall, you know, everything starts off quickly and Inojin stays, right? Now, my laptop is here, my computer is there. So, if you see me looking there, it's because I'm looking at the actual episode while I'm talking. Because, you know, sometimes I need to do this, right? Anyway, after the opening, we see a scene of, you know, Konohamaru asking to go after Mitsuki. And already in this arc, he asked that and he didn't get the permission because, let's be honest, he was kind of emotionally unstable when he heard that Mitsuki's father actually killed Sarutobi. Excuse me. And I've talked about this mental struggle that Konohamaru is having throughout this arc. I've talked about it multiple times in my last couple of reviews, and I'm really enjoying, you know, really enjoying Konohamaru's character in this arc because, you know, something is actually happening in relation to Konohamaru, if you get what I mean. And it's interesting, right? And anyway, what I really like about this scene, and I'm talking about the scene where Konohamaru gets permission to go after Mitsuki, is that it feels good because it feels like he deserved it. Let me explain. So he asked this, right? Many episodes ago, he asked Naruto if he could go, and he was rejected. And so, like many episodes after that, he gets the permission, right? And in life, you want something, right? I bet that we all wanted Konohamaru to go after Mitsuki so that we could get some type of emotional moment in the arc and whatnot. And I'm pretty sure that I'm talking, you know, that most people would agree with me, right? We all wanted to see that, but we didn't get it. And now that we're getting it many episodes after, I mean, not many episodes, but a couple of episodes later, it feels even better. Because in real life, when you want something, you want it. But if you don't get it for some time and then you get it after some time, it feels even better. If you get what I mean. It just, yeah, you get what I mean, right? So I kind of appreciate that scene for that. By the way, in the video that you're watching right now on YouTube, I just talked about the Konohamaru scene, I believe. I kept on talking for multiple minutes, nearly finished my review, just to notice that my camera stopped recording for some unknown reason, and this never happened to me. So I'm gonna repeat myself. Obviously, I'm not gonna be as enthusiastic as I was. I'm not gonna live up to the quality of these minutes that were just wasted because I talked for no reason. Basically, I'm just so pissed, but it's not a big deal. Okay, I was just on a hiatus for 2 weeks. Everything's fine. I'm catching up. Tomorrow I'm gonna review the latest chapter of Boruto because the new chapter is just around the corner. So anyway, it's not a big deal. Everything happens for a reason. That's what they say. Now let me repeat everything that I fucking said. This is definitely gonna affect the length of this video. I bet it's gonna be shorter. But anyway, oh my god. The Inojin Akun scene. It could just be that the writers are throwing these cute / funny moments at us, obviously talking about interactions of, Inojin and Akun. I just can't believe that I recorded the review and it wasn't recording. Anyway, that could be the case, right? However, what if there's something more to it? For example, let's say that as Akun grows older and as he, I guess, matures and learns how to live by himself and how to survive, maybe his instincts lead him towards other Akuta, because really they're the same species, right? So maybe we get like an emotional moment between Inojin and Akuta and Akun. Because like so much stuff is going on in this Mitsuki arc and with Onoki and with this plot twist in this episode. I feel like at one point everything is gonna escalate in such a crazy way, and then it's gonna be interesting. Maybe Akun doesn't go that path, but maybe by the end of this arc, all Akuta are gonna be destroyed or whatever, and then automatically Akun is gonna die. I think Akun is his name, or something like that. There are a few possibilities, I'd say, but I feel like there's a chance that this aren't just some random interactions that we're getting. But even if they are, I'm still enjoying it, okay? Because throughout this arc, one of the main themes, topics, whatever, is, it's synthetic humans which aren't really humans, and obviously Akuta were some type of experiments. It's just they didn't come to the level, that the likes of Seikei and Kokuyo reached, but still they're living beings, not humans. But then again, Akun did show some type of emotions in this episode, especially for that rabbit that died. I think it was a rabbit. I really talked about this in my I believe, was it Boruto 80 review? That was the Seikei episode. That makes the last episode review, episode 1 review, and this one episode 82 review. But anyway, numbers aren't important here. In the Seikei episode, I really talked about this and how complex this topic is, when it comes to these synthetic humans. And maybe, just maybe, Akun is going to contribute to the complexity of this arc. And that's something that I'd like to see. Now, let's talk about Boruto's infiltration. Obviously, when I say Boruto's, I'm referring to Boruto, Sarada, Chocho, and Shikadai. It's just that it's easier to say just Boruto's name, but then again, I just said all of those names. Sorry for the negativity. I just can't believe I'm recording this review again. But the infiltration part of the episode and the way they got to Onoki, the pacing was, it was great, it was quick, but it felt a little bit convenient, just a little bit, alright? A little bit. And let me explain, because really, the sounds that came from Chocho's stomach, they were really the main thing right there. Because, you know, because of those sounds, everybody started suspecting them. I mean, not suspecting them, but like they were noticed by many people and by that guy who, I don't remember his name, but he's, I guess, Onoki's assistant or whatever. It doesn't really matter. And after that, they met the guy, the food guy. I don't know if his name was revealed. And again, it's all because of these sounds. And I guess it's funny. And, you know, it kind of was funny for me. And, you know, food is very important when it comes to Chocho's character. I didn't like most of the food jokes and food comedy scenes in Boruto in regards to Chocho. I did enjoy this, but for these sounds to get such relevance, it's not the best because it's kind of unrealistic and, you know, it's too convenient, right? And obviously this is an anime, not everything is going to be realistic, but I just feel like it would have been a bit better if they got to Onoki in a different way rather than, you know, Chocho's stomach sounds causing them to get noticed. Then because of that, they leave that place where they were, and automatically because of that, they find the food guy and he gives them some, you know, not tips, but some information about Onoki. As I said, just it felt a little bit too convenient, but it's still a fantastic episode. And as I said in my Boruto episode 81 review, which is the previous review, the one in this video, I hope that was episode 1 review. I hope I'm not fluffing the numbers. And I said this a couple of, you know, episode reviews ago. Chocho's character is more likable, and, you know, if you're hearing this for the 3rd time from me, sorry, but I gotta repeat it because for the majority of the series I've been saying the opposite, so I'm kind of enjoying this, right? So yeah, something else that I want to mention the characters, right? I really liked their improvisation skills and how they, you know, really managed to, you know, think quickly in these stressful situations. Obviously all of them were lying, but still I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed all the characters in this episode. There was one hilarious moment when I think Chocho asked Shikadai something and then he was like, "Can't you think for yourself?" or something like that. It was funny seeing Shikadai's reaction to that question. So, and, you know, overall interactions between the characters, everything was great. And later on when Boruto talks to, let's say, Onoki's assistant, because again, I can't remember his name. I think it starts on A. I mean, his last name starts on A. I think, doesn't really matter. He has this little short conversation with him, and then after that, he says a couple of things, and, you know, it's just one of the reasons why Boruto is one of my favorite anime characters, period. It's how he matured throughout the series, how he progressed as a character, how he grew, and, you know, seeing him say all these things in this episode, and especially later on when he talked to Onoki and all that. And one moment that I really enjoyed, it was when Onoki, I think, offered Boruto to stay at his place, and then he kind of interrupted him in the middle of a sentence, and he was like, "No time for rest." It was like he was so mature. Like, you see such a change in Boruto from episode 1 and episode 82. Yeah, like, I really enjoyed Boruto in this episode. In the last episode, you know, because as I said in my review, if you saw it in this video, obviously, you know, some scenes were dragged out. So, you know, especially with Boruto learning something from that dream, you know, it's just after such an episode, it's great seeing, you know, everything happened so quickly in a great way in this episode. And nothing was dragged out. Again, pretty much nothing. It's just that the only negative that I see when it comes to this episode was that everything was a little bit too convenient. But then again, that's debatable. But it's my opinion, just a little bit. You'll see that obviously this episode isn't a 10 out of 10 because of that, but you'll see how high it is. It's above 9. That's all I'm going to say. You'll see in a bit. Actually, you'll hear in a bit. But anyway, yeah, I enjoyed it. And I said this in my episode 81 review, or, you know, the previous review, whatever, that something huge plot related was probably going to happen in this episode, you know, because the tone was going to shift. That was my prediction, and it was true. And to end the episode with such a fucking epic plot twist, oh my god, it was beautiful. Now let's get back to Onoki. I think I mentioned him at the start of this video. Again, I'm kind of lost right now because my webcam stopped recording midway. But anyway, obviously Onoki's not evil. Let's be real. Even in the preview for the next episode, he says that this is for the sake of peace or whatever. You know, in Naruto as a series, most of the times villains aren't really evil. They just need to do some messed up things for the greater good, right? Or at least that's the only, you know, path that they believe in, right? And you know, we just need to see what Onoki's goal is. Obviously it's peace, right? But what does that mean? Now, my prediction was that Lord Ku is, you know, one of my predictions even before his face was revealed, excuse me, was that he is the grandson of Onoki. And I thought that it got kind of confirmed in the past few episodes when we saw, excuse me, his face, especially when we saw Kurotsuchi's reaction to him. Because, you know, it's kind of strange because at the start of this arc, when Onoki was talking about him, it seemed like he was dead or whatever, because Onoki was really sad. But, and one prediction that I had was that by the end of this arc, Onoki was going to see Lord Ku's face. And that, you know, it would get emotional, but they know each other. Is that, you know, Onoki's grandson? And to me, it looks like he is, but everything is gonna escalate so much at one point in this arc. Everything is just gonna explode because there are so many plot points going on. You have Mitsuki leaving the village. You have Boruto chasing after Mitsuki. You have Boruto's friends leaving the village because of him. You have this mental struggle that Konohamaru has. You have these synthetic humans, Mitsuki's will, the hidden stone / rock village is involved. I always mix, you know, stone and rock. I always get it mixed up. It's not even a brain fart because, like, I'm always confused by this. Whenever I want to mention that village, I need to Google it on Google because I just can't memorize it. But anyway, we have this village involved. You know, you have these Akutas. You know, the Tsuchikage was kidnapped, and now Onoki is involved. Like, so many things are going on, man. I just can't wait for everything to pretty much explode. It's gonna be fun. I feel like a little child right now, fanboying. And just imagine how enthusiastic I was when I filmed this, like, I don't know, 10-15 minutes ago before the webcam stopped recording. Like, because I'm trying to replicate the sentences that I said back then, but I was more enthusiastic back then. So yeah, obviously, as I said, I could, you know, place my life on, and Onoki is not evil. That just doesn't make sense. But I just want to see what this piece really is, what's going on. Is the car organization somehow involved within this? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's something manga related. Doesn't really matter. It probably isn't. But anyway, the rating for this episode is 9.8, not a 10, because I did feel like it was a bit too convenient, some things that happened here. I know I said it, but I'm summarizing. But it was so minor that I only took away 0.2 from this episode. So yeah, according to my standards, a fantastic episode, but not perfect. That was your boy Hokage. It's Twitter, and this link is in the description below. Also, link to my second channel is in the description of this video. If you're new to the channel and if you're into the Boruto series, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in my next video. Yeah, bye.